Welcome back to another episode of Consciously Clueless. I'm your host, Carly, and I'll be your guide on this journey from consciousness to cluelessness and back around again. Today on the podcast, I talk to Tamuno Imbu. Tamuno works as a community organizer with compassionate action for animals based in Minneapolis, Minnesota. He's passionate about building a community of health and wellness while having fun along the way. Tamuno is an advocate for social justice, fatherhood, and living a plant-based lifestyle. He spent the past decade supporting people committed to live a sober lifestyle and make healthy relationships. This conversation was really inspiring and enlightening for me, and I'm really excited for you to hear it. Here we go. So, again, thank you very much for joining me. I'm really excited to connect with you.
Appreciate you having me.
So, the podcast is called Consciously Clueless, and I came up with that name because I realized that I was kind of on this journey of realizing things, learning things, becoming more conscious about myself as a human in the world, but then also having those moments where you're like, I'm clueless. I don't really know that much. And like everything in between. So I like starting with the question of how are you feeling right now in this moment? If that was a spectrum from conscious to clueless.
I'm feeling conscious.
Yeah.
Yeah. As far as today, right now at this moment, yes, I'm definitely conscious. I'm not clueless. I know definitely we all have those days, and we have to embrace those days. That's the yin and yang of life, and you can't have one without the other, and embrace that. You know, sometimes you will have that clueless feeling of what are you doing, what are you not doing, what could you be doing, and I always say, think about. Sometimes don't think about anything. Actually, don't think about anything. Get out of your head. Do something that you like. And find yourself in there and know that you will come back to that other conscious side of you. I dealt with a lot of work with people in trauma. Life coaching is kind of one of my basis foundation. And so I think we all go through transformation. Some of us need to have the transformation be a more permanent place, but in a just day-to-day thing, I think we go through transformations daily, right? Just in understanding how we're feeling and acknowledging that and being able to identify it. So, but yeah, I went on and on, but yeah, really, I'm feeling conscious today. I feel good. The weather is a good factor for me a lot of times, getting up and feeling good about my gut, feeling good about what I, put in my body the day before, I put in my body in the morning, and how and how I know that affects my day. So you caught me on a really good day. That's a good question.
Good. I really love that you talked about kind of embracing the clueless days, because that has been a really important practice for me, to not let those off moments or off days spiral me into more off moments and off days. Because that's easy to do when you get caught up in, I can't believe I'm having this moment. I'm really glad you said that.
Yeah, or I can't believe that I'm not where I want to be or what I want to be or how I want to be. And it's like, it's too easy to spiral. It's too easy to stew. It's too easy. And sometimes you need to do that because you need to be there so you can crawl out of that and know that you can do that. That's what always gives it hope, and having, good, strong foundation of people, support systems, people that's going to give it to you raw, tell you how it is. A lot of people don't want to hear me because I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you, and I don't give advice, So, I'm just going to tell you what I see, what it is. And I appreciate it when people do it to me. And that's why I love it. Tell me so that I can internalize it and try to do better and be better.
Oh, I love that. That's a beautiful way to walk through life.
Yeah, it can be on those good days. Yin and yang of life, man. Nobody knows what it is. I think everybody has that, and some people just find other ways to push it away and not deal with it or suppress it. So we all deal with it, conscious or clueless.
Yes.
Where are you at today? Conscious or clueless?
Ooh, you turning it back on me.
Absolutely.
I feel like today has been a roller coaster through both moment to moment, which is not always my norm, but I got up and I did a shaking meditation to start my day. I moved my body. I nourished my body with some good food. And then I had a few work things just go completely haywire. And I felt like I dipped again. But actually knowing that I was doing this podcast interview and setting this up, this is like my heart space. This is my heart work. And so having that to think about and being excited about that brought me back.
Good.
Thank you for asking.
No problem.
So I originally got connected with you through Laura at Compassionate Action for Animals. So can you tell me a little bit more about your work with them?
Absolutely. You know, my work with them is really grounded in outreach and bringing more awareness to plant-based lifestyle, the harsh conditions and brutal conditions of farm factory animals, and really informing, educating, and allowing people to find that space that allows them to understand themselves too. As a man, African American, African descent, truly proud of my African ancestry roots, as well as my American Black roots. I've seen so much go on in our community with our, I choose those words lightly, closely to that, our choices and our eating habits. Because when it really boils down to it, how much of a choice have you had when your choices are limited? You deal with this or you deal with this. It's the lesser of the evils almost.
Yeah, totally.
And so, my work has been great, actually, coming to this organization and working with them on outreach from the jump has been movie screenings, so when you're able to not preach to somebody, but allow them to watch something from someone else's words or perspective and watch it together and then have a conversation. When I first came on, even one of the first films that we screened and had some young people and things was The Invisible Vegan, which I had never heard of. Jasmine LeVay.
I interviewed her on the podcast last year.
Oh, wonderful.
She's amazing.
Yes. She is, truly amazing individual. And, this work really, it grounds you. And especially when you're really, motivated. I mean, there's so many layers to it, but, getting back to the topic, doing this for filming and connecting with people and having conversations, I think it's all organic, and it really gives young people, which is one of the things that one of the target groups that we're really trying to work towards is younger folks. Since I've come along, just really young teenagers or whatever, and continue to work with folks who are in college and things like that. So, but we don't have going back to the people who didn't really have those choices. I was just having a conversation with somebody yesterday about how many food grocery store, whatever you want to call them, these corner stores are in these impoverished neighborhoods,
right?
That are walking. Well, they're full of diabetes and cholesterol and all of this, and the door stays open for them because a lot of folks that go there, this is the closest thing they have to their house, and they might not have transportation. So they're going to walk there and they're eating this stuff that's not food. And you're continuously drinking all this sugar and everything and high fructose corn syrup. And the conversation that I was having, and sometimes I get to going on and on. So, I'll tie things in,
I trust you. I'm here for the journey.
Yep. So the conversation I was having yesterday was around a young kid that was like 5 or 6 that had already had had these silver teeth and all these things because, the family didn't know no better. And they were just feeding this kid just all these sugar and Capri Suns and all this stuff. And, you're just doing all this. And if you're not taking care of that, we're having a bunch of malnourished children really out here. And so, that's why I do the work that I do. And that's some of the work I do is just really just wanting to make sure that people understand where they're at, where they can be, and, know that it's a journey. It takes time, and, you can do it, but there's no all in or nothing either, no judgment, So we're doing stuff at the plant-based pop-up. It's a beautiful thing. Right now it's happening every Sunday in May at 1729 2nd Street. That's a beautiful place.
In Minneapolis.
Yep, in Minneapolis. The location might change, but that's the thing. We're working together to bring these options to the community and have people come to North Minneapolis and different places in Minneapolis to see that these are largely all pop-up organizations that come together as a collective to do a Minneapolis pop-up and stuff. Have you been yet?
No, I haven't. I live up the North Shore, like 5 hours away from Minneapolis.
Do you? Oh, okay.
So I get down there to visit people. I went to college there and then came back to my hometown for a while. So I get down there when I can, but it's a drive to go for a pop-up event.
For sure. I can tell. Yeah, that would definitely be a lot.
So you mentioned the pop-up markets and then some film screenings, which one of the ones Laura mentioned in an email that I haven't looked into yet, the post-traumatic slave diet. Could you tell me a little bit more about that film?
Yeah, that's a documentary.
It must have been impactful if she mentioned it, was one of the ones she pulled out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it really ties into just what I was just speaking about as far as post-traumatic slave diet. African Americans traditionally in this, in America, have been eating what was left over scraps and made that into, something soulful. But all the salt and the sodium and all of these different flavors, when you are getting the remainders of a pig, and that's what you had to eat, they turned that into something. I'm originally from Mississippi myself. And I have family members that, still eat hog mogs, chitlins, and these are all of these pig feet, like all this stuff
What
is
was the first thing you said?
hog mogs.
What is that?
It's part of a pig that just isn't, that's not good.
Okay. Okay, I'll take your word for it.
Yeah. And they're eating all of these different type of foods that in 2021, why would you still be eating that?
Right.
Because it's traditionally passed down.
Right.
So that tradition has been passed down from, even from slavery. So post-traumatic slave diet, those are those foods that were created that gave us comfort, that we had to find some way to find comfort in that trauma, because that's trauma changes the genetics of any individual over a course of generations. And so this documentary really went into that diet.
Yeah.
Why as African Americans are we so still attached to that diet when we know what it is causing to the community, how harmful it is to the community as we eat these things? And you see it with the diabetes, the high blood pressure, the heart stroke, heart attacks and strokes, and I mean it's just so many things that are tied to it. So there's a play on post-traumatic PTSD, which
right.
Escaping me the acronym.
Post-traumatic stress disorder.
Post-traumatic stress disorder. And so many of African Americans of African descent come from a lineage of slavery. So post-traumatic slave diet. This is a health crisis. This is a issue that has to be addressed. And as we have folks who are getting older, me, I'm getting older. I have aunts and uncles and people that where there's like a change of guard. I kind of look at it in my own family. There's like, I have my aunts and my cousins, and then I have my children. So my aunts and all of them, my mom and all of them, they're getting older. It's time for them to kind of pass down the torch for traditions and things to me, my sister, my cousins, and men and women. Now, do we pass down those same food diets, those diets of eating, these things that are high in cholesterol and all this, and when you have someone in their 40s, I have people in my family who are in their 40s who have heart problems already.
Yeah.
That's disheartening, and we know that it's, you didn't get a pacemaker in your 40s. Just, I mean, that's a lot of the stuff is, hereditary, is attached in to what you're eating along with the hereditary. So this documentary was really, really pivotal. It was at a great time when we did the screening, just to really, and in the title, it's such a in your face, right? One thing about that is sometimes you have to do that to really catch people's attention.
Totally.
And one thing I learned and have noticed too with so many people is that people want to change. I mean, it's hard. It's hard when you don't know how to change the one thing that you have to do every day.
Yeah, right. How do you approach that conversation, talking to people who are saying, but this is a part of our tradition, but I do want to change? Like, how do you honor that without dismissing it, but also saying, but we could do better? Like, how do you toe that line?
One meal at a time.
Mm.
One meal at a time. Let's, instead of having, some kind of animal product 3 meals a day or 2 meal, whatever it is. Let's have 1 meal a day or 1 meal a week. Start with 1 meal a week. That isn't.
Right.
And let me show you a couple places and a couple things that you can eat. I mean, I love, for me, I love some of the things like that we're doing. And I love to cook. I do a couple of online cooking classes. That's another thing that I work with,
Okay.
doing some plant-based cooking demos and stuff. But you can still have a lot of these flavors without having, a lot of the sodium and animal products in it. One of the things I really like is the fried cauliflower wings.
Yes.
Those
Yum.
those things are amazing. That's a boneless chicken, right?
Mm-hmm.
Batter it, give it the seasoning, give it some batter, seasoning, fry it. We even frying it in some different kind of oils, maybe some olive oil, maybe some sunflower seed oil, opposed to, these other Crisco's and all these other things
Right.
that are high in saturated fat. Here you go. Now you have your boneless wings, eating more leafy greens. I love collard greens.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the things. So we can balance that by saying, let's eat some of these other things and, look at reducing the animal intake that we're using in
Right.
our diets. And no judgment. And again, no judgment. You are, this, your body is your destiny. Right. And so, in all, you have to do. But I always just feel so enlightenment a little bit when I, look at, I feel enlightenment for where I'm at, but I look at where children don't have a choice.
Yeah.
When we're bringing them into a food culture, they have to eat what you, you know what I'm saying, what you're making.
Yeah.
And so, so no judgment, finding creative ways. Mushrooms, I'll never remember the name of this mushroom when I want to talk about it. Because there's so many different kinds of mushrooms, but we fry those too. Batter them, fry them. I cannot remember which one it is. But I love mushrooms, and those are like chicken too.
Mm-hmm. Or like seafood. Some of those mushrooms are kind of like seafood.
Yeah, there's so many things. There's a lady that Kiko's Kitchen. She does a pop-up every Tuesday.
Okay.
She believes in alkaline diet. And she uses a lot of mushrooms. I got young kids that don't like mushrooms, and my kids, my kids.
I didn't either.
It took, actually, I didn't like mushrooms until I was dating this lady, and I never liked mushrooms. I was about 18, 19.
I was just gonna say that was like almost 20 when I was like,
Yeah.
okay, mushrooms don't suck.
Right. And I was eating somewhere, and it was like, just try it. It was like some saute. I was like, man, I've been in love with mushrooms ever since. I was like, this is not bad. But if I fry those up, the kiddos don't even know that that's mushrooms, right? They don't even know that they're eating it. You know what I mean? So, but those are other ways. But Kiko's Kitchen is doing amazing work with bringing that to the community. She used a lot of those. I can't believe I can never remember the name of that mushroom.
You're gonna remember as soon as we get off this call.
Oh, I love the mushroom too. It's like, it's not the shiitake, it's the whatever. Anyways, she does a great job of those. You can turn those into po' boy sandwiches. There's just so many different things you can do. And so when you add that flavor and you give that to people and you make it reasonable, because that's the other thing, people, still believe that the food is very expensive. And so, a lot of people eat what they feel they can afford. But we're meeting people where they're at, meet them where they're at, show them that there's other ways to still have those flavors and seasoning without having that meat, because I know myself, I'm very in tune with my gut. I've always been, and that's one of the things that I always knew for me. And I don't know if this is going to be your question or not, but that eating the meat, and especially like chicken, which is one of the ones that people eat the most, I believe, is one of those easier. Chicken wings here, chicken wing there, chicken. I just always just felt like it just didn't feel right. And then, we conform to what's happening around us.
Absolutely.
Conformity, and just and even when I was in my 20s and stuff, I was just like, man, I remember getting mad with myself, saying like, you gotta stop eating chicken. Like, what are you eating it too much, man? Like, why are you eating this food like this? Like, it's just so accessible, being somewhere, eating it or whatever. And I challenged myself to just cut back. And then years later, watched the documentary, and then I went pescatarian.
Okay.
And I was pescatarian for a lot of years, 6, 7 years. And then, and I had for a lot of those years, I was really good. And as I got closer to the end of those years, I was doing what I wanted to do. Kind of went back into not full-fledged, but just some of those old habits. And that's the thing with, any of this lifestyle. And this is like, look, nobody's going to judge you for what you do or don't do. Title is a title. You're looking to be healthier and be healthier in yourself. And when I had the chance to find out about CAA, it was pre-pandemic. I mean, literally like weeks before pandemic started. And I thought, this is really cool. I'm already in this path, and I don't think I ever thought, that I could not. I felt like, okay, if I get this opportunity, then I need to go all the way in. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's meant for me to go all the way in. And look at what the world is going through with all of this health, health issues. I don't think I could do wrong. I already knew what dairy was doing to me. That was another thing. Dairy, like ice cream was my thing, and cheese pizza and all of this stuff. And, when I was able to get away from it and have support and know that there was people out there, man, it was amazing. I felt great, felt empowered. And I think I just came in too at a time where a lot of options are there too. So
that's very true. I feel like you are such a beautiful example of coming from this place of understanding for other people's journeys and where everybody is at. Is that just like a character trait, or did you kind of have to cultivate that? Because I know for myself, in the beginning of being vegan, I had that moment where I'm like, I feel like my whole life has been a lie. I can't believe I didn't know about all of these injustices with food and agriculture and everything else. And then I became really judgy of other people that weren't listening to me. Like, how are you not vegan yet? And I know now that came from such a place of privilege. Like, I'm this white girl, like, why aren't you vegan? And that's not helpful. So I really had to examine that. Is that just like part of your character, or did you kind of have to go through that a little bit too?
Yeah, well, I was doing some work in transformational coaching, working with, when I went pescatarian, after watching, I can't even remember what the documentary was. It might have been What the Health or something. I don't know. And I, cut out all that. And I felt like I couldn't, cut out the fish in I was like, I just, even when I ate seafood, it was very sparingly. It wasn't like every day or anything, maybe not even always once a week or anything. But it was like I just held on to that. But um, I was currently at that time working as a life coach, working for men coming out of prison.
Oh wow.
Yeah, helping men transform their lives, get housing, get employment, um, learn life skills and build relations with their families, and learn how to cope with the trauma that they were dealing with. And I do recall being, and this was a organization that was primarily leadership was in people of color. So it was like it was one of those microcosms of nonprofits that you don't really see, where you have a lot of the leadership is men and people of color. And so there was a lot of chicken and stuff that was being cooked and aged and things of that nature. And by no means, when I say that, I think a lot of people eat chicken. It ain't just Black people, a lot of people.
Totally. That was what I've survived off of chicken tenders for way too long in my life.
Right. But I would find myself at those, work meetings or luncheons, and I'm bringing my stuff, and I'm like looking at the guys, and I'm just saying, like, look, man, I don't know. Like, do you even see, like, in my mind, I was thinking to them, or what I was trying to project to them was like, look, how do they sustain in this?
Yeah.
So, that was my approach to people, like, and nobody could relate. I'm like, how do they can sustain to have this many chickens being everywhere? All these restaurants, all these cities.
The math doesn't add up.
It doesn't matter. It's just like, I don't care how many chickens is being hatched. It's something that don't make no sense. It's too many restaurants, it's too many cities, it's too many grocery stores, it's too much. Like, brother, you don't probably want to be eating that. I don't think you want to be doing that. And so that was my playful kind of approach to it with people, and they would be like, man, what do you mean? Whatever I'm gonna do, and so and that was the thing, I was at it alone. Yeah. I was alone. I was doing that as I made that conscious decision to say, I'm doing this. I didn't know any other, there was no one other person, besides my partners, that was close to me, that was really even taking this journey with me. So I did that for years and years. And so it wasn't really one of those conversations that had to come up much until we were at a place of dining or whatever may be the case, But so, to answer your question, like I would have those conversations. It would be playful in that way, but it would be stemmed in trying to make somebody kind of think a little bit about what they're doing. But I didn't have, the numbers or the things to back it up. But I just felt like there was something that I needed to do, and I wasn't really aware of trying to help other people outside of their transformation of their, their trauma and the things that they were going through, and not really. And that was really, really part of my growth, with the pandemic and with the opportunity like this, and finding a community like this is like an understanding. Because I'm a person of belief that, I have to continuously be learning. I have to be continuously learning something and learning from something, or I get that clueless feeling that we talked about earlier, right?
I relate.
Learning, and from anything or whatever, just helps me find that consciousness. But so I was clueless on the point of, how do you even, or why is there even a point to even trying to help someone transition or transform their lives. And how do you even do that? Which
Right.
is what I've learned here working with CAA. You know, there is ways to do it. The things that we're doing, the screenings, the movie screenings, the plant-based cooking shows, you know, working with kids and people, let alone just kids, to bring them awareness of what's happening, going to sanctuary, farm sanctuary tours, you know, talking about what's really happening with, you know, the foods that you're eating and the dairy and the animals and things of that nature. So that's what has been very eye-opening for me, and understanding all that's intersectionality, the intersectionalities of all that, you know, your health, your mental state, your physical state, like
Right.
these things are all tied in to what you're putting into your body, you know.
And in terms of intersectionality, saying that word sparked another question I had for you, is I find it really interesting to talk to men who have become vegan and possible pushback or like that intersectionality, because the stereotypes of masculinity. And then on top of that, being a man of color and where all those pieces came into. Did you ever struggle with that or have any like shit thrown at you because of that or anything like that?
Yeah, you know, I really have. My whole life I've been the one person, not one, but one of the persons that I never liked bullies. And I never stood up. I never allowed anybody to bully anybody around me. So I personally don't feel I've had anybody come to me in any kind of way that's like,
they know not to.
I mean, I don't know. I don't like to say it in that way. I just feel like I've never really had, and I haven't. So this actually connected me to connected me to one thing I was thinking about was a friend that I actually made a friend. That's somebody that I knew of, but didn't have a personal relationship with, which is Carnage the Executioner, who's a plant-based artist.
Okay.
He's like a human beatbox, but he does this live show where he creates all the instruments using his mouth, records them with this contraption, creates the beat, and then he'll rap over it live.
What?
Yes.
People are so talented.
Yeah, yeah. And so when coming in contact and working with CAA, I thought about him because I knew he had mentioned that he was, you know, plant-based, and me and him hit it off. We've done some events and things together. He's come and worked with Cookie Cart, which is a good partner or a strong partner with CAA, and has done, you know, amazing work. But I know talking with him, he's talked about some of the things that people say, but he's got like 15,000 followers on social media and all these other things. And so,
well, that's another interesting intersection, right? Like the rap world.
Yeah. But that's the thing. That's one of the things. So he's got all these followers, and then he has told me about his conversations with people. You know, I don't get into the thing online with nobody. I'm not going to go back and forth with you about nothing. You know, I'm going to say something and be done with it, and that's it, you know. But he's mentioned it before, how he's got flack. And so I do know somebody that has got some flack, and you can get wrapped up in that. And I'm just, for me, arguing with two people arguing from a distance, two people arguing and from a distance, and someone's watching on, who knows who's the fool? No one knows who's the fool. You know what I mean? So
who's the fool?
I'm not going to be arguing with you to be mistakenly for the fool. So, but I love what you're saying there. You know, the rap world, fashion, all that stuff. My thing is, as I'm more in the life, is like, let's make it cool.
Yeah.
Let's make it cool. It is cool. It is cool to say, I'm not eating that. And I don't want that. And I'm proud to say that I don't want that
Yeah.
in my life. That's not what I'm about. I'm not about that pain. And the thing is, it's just it's always been, and this is governmental and societal and, conditioning, um, that you don't have to think about what has happened to the food that gets on your plate. When you're in a restaurant or you're at the grocery store or whatever it is, you don't have to really think about that. That's why these films these documentaries and things that kind of come out really can help people kind of understand, and you know, help some people for a little bit, but I think it takes time. Everything takes time for people. Um, and everybody's journey is different. So um, if you're willing to take one step, then we'll take one step with you. And and that's just really what we have to do if we want to reach certain communities that have
Well, in
been.
that way, it feels like you're this phrase I've seen a lot lately, and it's really resonated with me: calling people in versus calling people out.
Mm,
And I
yeah, I
think that
like that.
that's something I have to think about a lot. Is, how do you call people in instead of putting people right on the defense?
Mm-hmm,
Who wants to come and learn when you are first put on the defense? Not me.
mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm,
like, how do you just say like, yeah, that's not my jam, and if you want to know about it, I'll tell you, but I'm not going to force you. Like, that's a practice I had to cultivate.
mm-hmm. Yeah, and that comes from working in the field that I've been working in for years, which is I've always been a really good listener.
Mm,
A lot of people hear, but they're not really listening, right? And that's why um, I can talk to people and kind of meet them where they're at, and let them know I understand. There's some
yeah.
things going on, and you really might want something, but um, from my work, you never get anywhere with attacking somebody right away.
Right.
You're not. And if you make anyone feel stupid or that they like, you don't know this, oh my God, like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
what are they, who's the first thing they're gonna be like? Is no, I don't want to even. I'm not even trying to hear you. You're cutting off your opportunities. And the thing I learned is so many people want to try other things. They want to try this. So many people are stuck in a routine. I was in it. You're stuck in this routine of
Yes.
going and buying the same thing from the grocery store every
Yes.
week. Got to get this in turkey, got to get the beef, got to get the fish,
Yep.
got to get this. You don't even know what you're going to make with none of those things.
Yes.
You just got to get it because that's what you know to get, and that's what you got to have. And then you'll figure out what meals you're going to make from those things because these are the meats that you got to have. No, you don't. You don't. And, you know, if you don't know how to prepare some of these meals or where to get them when you want them or how to take some of these meals and things that people these places that have food and delete one of either two or three items and it's perfectly still good and now you don't have some of these other issues, um, intestinal, with your intestines and your gut and all of the things that come along for me. And I know there's a lot of people got to be going through this. I know it wasn't just me. I know it.
Absolutely.
It takes so much time for your body to break down all these meats, these
Yep.
animal products, I should say.
Yeah.
It takes your body is overworking to break these down every day. You're not even giving it a rest. You know what I
Mm,
mean? Your body is just constantly, it takes beef, what, 3 4 days to break down?
yeah.
It's literally rotting in your intestines.
Oh, that's nasty.
It's very nasty, right? You know what I mean? And that's what I try to tell people. And then you just got to pay attention to what when you do get sick and all these things they say, Stop eating the red meat. Stop eating this. Like, you wasn't supposed to be eating it.
Yes.
You
Yes,
know,
absolutely.
but it's, it's really, that's why cooking classes are really good. Things that show people how simple to make certain dishes, places where you can get them at, I find myself wanting to eat late and, different things. And I don't, I can't, I love that there's a lot more options in Minneapolis.
Totally.
I'm a foodie at heart. I love food. I love to eat stuff, but I have to be careful too with some of these alternatives and things of that nature, because those ain't also the best for you either. Those are great transitional foods, which was
Yes.
really funny because I was talking with Laura, and we're in the middle of a pandemic. It's all these people, grocery stores, and we're just a year ago, low on items and all these different things, and I found myself in a transitional space of eating different things that I hadn't ate because I just wasn't eating them anymore, like hot dogs or whatever. Because now
Right.
they got I don't know if we would call them plant based, but whatever. They're not actual animals or whatever, right?
Yeah,
So I found myself eating stuff like that and eating things like that, and it was just like, wait a minute, you gotta calm that down too a little bit, because you wasn't eating it before, because you wasn't eating that brand, and now that it's available, there's just so many.
It's so easy.
Yeah, and there's so many memories tied to our food.
Yes, along with the tradition that goes with that tradition piece.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So how do you, when a person is bombarded with marketing, you can't turn the TV on without McDonald's commercials, Chick-fil-A, Burger King. My goal is, my passion and my heart is that, to push and keep pushing that, we have a balance. We need to be having some plant-based commercials too.
Yes.
We need to have other things, because, that's overwhelmingly what's out there. And those commercials are running for a reason, because that imagery is tied to some emotions for you. And then you want to go get it. You remember that taste, you remember that feeling, so.
That's so true. That's so true. Creating new pathways.
Exactly. New pathways, new foods, being open to new, communities and, engagements and things that are happening. And, that's what's really going to help people slowly but surely. I mean, African Americans are one of the fastest growing vegan demographics right now. And, so that's definitely a powerful thing. And a lot of it is a lot of that good food that they're, promoting all over, and being really creative with it. But the point is that they're, taking back their power and understanding that, this is what they want, and they're flamboyant and happy and boisterous about sharing that with people. And as I was mentioning before, I was in my own space and on my own. Now I'm here and I'm on this platform and I'm talking to you and I'm talking to other people, and I'm out here and I'm online and I'm everything, and I'm saying, hey, it's never too late. It's a good time for you. Learn yourself, learn your body, and understand that, this system and this cycle of abuse and cruelty with animals doesn't have to transfer to you, which really what it is when you're eating it. It's not good.
No, it's not.
It's not good at all.
We got to overthrow the system.
Seriously. And the more people are aware, the more they can, make those choices and gradually get to a place where they look at it the way I do. Even now, I look at some seafood, I'm just like, I can't believe I was still even eating that.
Yeah. Yeah. I've had those moments where I'm like, wow, that was the thing that hung me up for a year.
Right,
Interesting.
right,
Okay.
right, right,
It
right.
seems
Like,
wild now.
exactly, exactly. And it's, you know, it's a journey. It takes time. You can't make anybody feel bad about what their decisions is. It's the first thing people, I ain't giving this up. I ain't doing this. I'm like, yeah, I said the same thing. I don't think I could. I don't. Why would I? Whatever. Um, but inherently deep down, I always knew that meat wasn't really what I needed to be eating. Um,
I think
I
a
had to
lot of
find.
people know deep down that they should change
Hmm.
a lot of things.
Yeah.
I think we have this deep sense of knowing that's so far beyond our external projections, but we just quiet it because it's
Hmm.
scary.
Right. Right. And it's a commitment. It's like it feels like it's something that you really gotta fully commit to all the way right away and go all the way in. And it's like transformation hurts,
Mm,
you know, and transformation hurts. It's not going to be um, all peachy and everything.
yeah.
You have to take those steps. You might stumble, you might hurt, you might lose people, um, but you got to go back and work those muscles and and all that so that it becomes part of your routine. Once we get a routine, it's hard. We're a lot of us are creatures of habit, and we kind of go to the same places,
Right.
do some of the same things, and the more you can open yourself up to new things, the better you're going to be.
Absolutely. Well, I so enjoyed talking to you. I hope we continue to connect in the future.
Absolutely.
Um, you are a very special human.
Thank
Thank
you.
you
Thank
for the
you. You as
work
well.
you're doing.
I appreciate.
Um,
Thank you so much as well, and I look forward to speaking with you again. And um, let's do what we can do to continue this fight.
Absolutely. Is there anything you feel like you want to share that I didn't give you space to, or any last minute thoughts? And also, how can people get a hold of you? Because I know people are going to want to connect with you after this.
Absolutely. Um, you can get a hold of me at the email would be TAMUNO at exploreveg.org. You can get you there. Um, you can definitely meet me out on Facebook, Explore Veg program. I manage that. Um, you can go to exploreveg.org and sign up for some of the cooking classes, some of the farm sanctuary tours. We have They're Trying to Kill Us screening coming up Juneteenth. I think it'll be June 19th.
Mm-hmm.
That's another one of those along the lines of post-traumatic slave diet, invisible vegan.
I'm really excited to
Really,
see that film.
yeah, absolutely, me too. And Open Streets, we'll be doing something with Open Streets on July 11th in the Franklin neighborhood. Um, but yeah, those are some of the some of the places that you can really reach me and tune in and check into what some of the things that we have coming up.
Awesome. And I can put all of that in the show notes so everyone can get a hold of you really easily.
Appreciate that. Appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Consciously Clueless. If you enjoyed this episode, hit subscribe wherever you're listening. If you want to help me get this into the ears of more listeners, send it to a friend, text it to a family member, share in social media. Whatever you can do really helps me out. Another way to help grow this podcast is to head over to Apple Podcasts and leave a review, and I will read it on air as the review of the week in the future. If you haven't yet, head over to patreon.com/consciouslycarly and see the amazing community that's growing over there. And finally, if you haven't, head to consciouslycarly.com and look for the new Self-Love Reset course. Until next time.